This is the data just for 2020. Altogether, we got about 10,000 crop samples from 25 different crops, almost 8,000 soil samples. We're able to overlay nutrient levels in food against soil metrics, against management practices, and begin to discern what the variations are, what caused them, and whether actually we could test quality. So I'm just going to show you a couple of graphs here. The one on the left is sulfur. You can see at the bottom left it says 8.41. That's milligrams per 100 grams of fresh weight. On the right is 33.19. That's a 4x variation. So the green one on the far side has 4 times as much sulfur as the one on the right. You can see the peak of the graph there is in about the 22nd percentile. Right? So almost all the carrot samples with sulfur levels are below the 50th percentile. We can see the range is 4x, which is dramatic, and we can see that almost all of what's available for people to eat is quite poor in relation to what it could be. On the right is phosphorus, from 11.7 to 93.69. That's an 8x variation. Peak of the curve, 27th percentile. 8x variation. You have to eat 8 of the carrots to the left to get as much phosphorus as if you get one of the ones on the right. That's not small. Antioxidants is our next one. People may have heard about antioxidants. Blueberries have high levels of antioxidants. Pomegranate has high levels of antioxidants. Well, actually, like all other things, the level of antioxidants in a food varies dramatically. We have here 4.92 as the lowest level, 195.05 is the highest. That's a 40x variation, 40. You have to eat 40 of the carrots on the left to get as much as if you ate one of the ones on the right. This is the scale of variation of these nutrients in the supply chain across, so far we've looked at North America and Europe. We've got data like this for more than 20 other crops. This is not just carrots. We've got it for wheat and oats and blueberries and apples and potatoes and beets and Swiss chard and mustard and leeks. 25 different crops. This is the nature of the supply chain of what you have in the grocery store, at your farmers markets right now. On the right, we've got polyphenols, 2.34 to 49.75. That's a more than 20x variation. The peak of the curve there is in the 7th percentile. These are compounds that correlate with flavor, with aroma, with reversing chronic disease, whether it's diabetes or heart disease or cancer, right? These nutrients that food should have in it, in most cases, food does not have in it, or it has it at very, very low levels, which correlates very nicely with our epidemic levels of chronic disease. What causes this variation? Some people said it was variety. Some people say it's genetics. Not everyone here, I'm guessing, knows their carrot varieties. We've got Napoli and Bolero and Nantes and Mokum. I'm not seeing any connections there between variety and nutrient levels. What I'm seeing is you can take a Napoli seed and you can plant it in this soil and get high levels of nutrients, and you can put it in that soil and get low levels of nutrients. We see that across the board here. Variety is not a causal factor in nutrient levels. On the right-hand side, we see climate region. These are USDA climate regions: Northeast, East, North Central, Southeast, Central, etc. Just because you live in the Northeast does not mean you're doing a good job. In fact, most people are not, depending on how you define good. East, North Central, Southeast, doesn't really matter. Soil type, climate, pretty much everywhere, most people are doing a mediocre job. Point of purchase. We got farm, store, garden, farmer's market. Have you been taught that, local farmers markets where you get the high quality food? Buy from your local farmer, grow in your garden, you're doing a good job. Most of us mean well. We think we're doing well. We think our local farmer's a nice person. They probably are a nice person. That does not necessarily mean they're doing a high quality job producing food. Actually, it's a sophisticated biological system, and only when you manage the soil accordingly to facilitate high levels of life. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's what correlates. This final graph here on carrots, certified organic is on top. A lot of reds and oranges, not too many dark greens. So cover crops, people use cover crops. That's one of the things that the regenerative people talk a lot about. Just because you use cover crops does not mean you have high levels of nutrients. No-till is next. Till is right after that. Not seeing a dramatic variation in nutrient levels based on tillage. Organic, not certified is the following one. Then we have reference and none. Reference and none is grocery store, not organic. Actually, it's fatter a little bit farther to the right there. Like, just because you're certified organic does not mean you have high levels of soil health, does not mean you have high levels of nutrients in your food. It's possible that some farmers operating on scale are not bad farmers. Just because you're not organic does not mean you have bad soil health. Right? It's entirely possible to manage your soil well and still not fit into any of these food movement labels. The only thing that we saw that correlated to nutrient levels in crops was levels of life in the soil. Levels of life in the soil directly correlates. People know from evolutionary biology that 420 million years ago, the microbes evolved plants to help them occupy this new niche called land. People know about this? Right? The microbes evolved the plants to feed them. We farmers need to understand that we're not producing crops. Really, we shouldn't be focusing on crops. What we actually should be focusing on is the level of life in the soil, because that's the bottom of the food chain. It's the microbes that are the bottom of the food chain. Certainly, you need soil cover, and cover crops are wonderful. Certainly, less soil disturbance is great. But if you don't have air in the soil, microbes will asphyxiate. So, there's all kinds of environmental conditions that are necessary, and that's not correlating directly with specific labels or practices.